think
But
that.
guys, what about white
that-
men who own the resources?
Exactly.
You know, who tell black men, hey, come and dig diamonds in my mine.
And then they say they will employ women to dig diamonds in their mines. So what about
Who's this? We want the culprit.
Okay.
I guess that's what I'm trying to find out. And if we're saying it's a sector, that means we're also equal to the culprit as well. This white guy, whoever. I'm not saying all white people are oppressors, but ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 2 of the ZAR podcast, where we discuss important.
You want to get drunk first, though?
Give him the. Bleed. Doesn't matter what you say. Just go.
Cool.
No,
I know you got this, but just go.
let's go. You're not cutting it, right?
No, I'm not cutting it.
Okay, let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 2 of the ZAR podcast, where we discuss important political issues in South Africa and abroad. Today we have an interesting conversation that we'll be discussing with our esteemed panel. We're going to be discussing toxic masculinity, femininity, and what these all mean, seeing that these are very important conversations that we're having in our society, and everybody seems to have an opinion in it. Starting on the left, I'm going to be introducing our panel. Actually, I'll allow them to actually introduce themselves to you guys. So, Fawaz.
Hi everybody, I'm Fawaz Cupido, and I've done work relating to this topic, collaborating with Gender Dynamics and Student Affairs actually in the Gender Equality Unit at Stellenbosch University. And so yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Hi guys, I'm Sia. I've also been in leadership. I've had the transformation portfolio, and which I've worked with the equality unit as well. And I think I'm excited to be here as well.
Okay, our host forgot to mention we have Charles on the camera, and also today Laza is sitting out.
Laza is out.
Yeah, but he's gonna be sharing his input today.
Yeah, from the back there.
So I'm your co-host for today, and then he'll be hosting. And then on the right, we have
Senate Tlali, and I'm here in my personal capacity with no affiliation to any organization I have joined. And so today I'm just a girl.
Let's go.
Hi everyone, my name is Asan Yusuf Kolanisi, and I also have no affiliation with anything whatsoever. I'm here on my official capacity.
Alright.
We need mics for you guys. It's okay, go on.
Alright, so yeah guys, since this is, by the way, I want to make a disclaimer that feel free to voice out your opinions and just share your true beliefs. This is a learning environment where everyone is just allowed to voice out their opinion and just share their perspectives without being attacked or feeling any way, right? Each and every opinion that we will share here is important and will teach someone out there something. And I want to also make the disclaimer that even us here as the hosts and people in the panel are also going to learn new things today. I don't think everyone has an answer to everything. So that's the purpose of this discussion. Well, starting off, I just want to get your guys' perspective on what traditional masculinity actually is. So when we speak of the concept of traditional masculinity, people often see this image of men perhaps going to war or actually doing this manly things, driving fast cars, watching Rambo movies. What do you guys think? What's your guys' perspective on this traditional masculinity thing?
So we're just gonna go the traditional way now.
Let's go the traditional
Okay,
way.
cool. No, it's quite funny actually. I watched a TikTok recently, and it was about a woman who said, "Oh, men aren't men anymore. Men used to build castles, and now they want love, and not like love, but they want to be babied." And I was like, okay. I was taken aback, and I was like, wow. So maybe masculinity is changing, and society is progressing, but I don't think that it's progressing at the ideal rate that we'd like it to progress. So for me, I see masculinity as the traditional man, hard worker, the provider, and whatnot. But in actuality, I am trying to advocate to not tend to those traditional boundaries of masculinity, and I kind of broaden people's perspectives on it, and so it doesn't homogenize your relationship, you know.
I think before I start, I just need to make a disclaimer as well that whatever that we're going to be discussing about is just, for me personally, maybe you would relate as well. The fact that we're here on our personal capacity and it's just based on experience, not we can't be speaking on behalf of everyone.
Yeah.
And I think for me, traditional masculinity, obviously it's been portrayed as a man must lead, a man must do that, man must do this. Obviously social media also has a play in it. However, I think masculinity is changing and society is taking time to receive the change in masculinity, and it's based on what I know back then and what's now changing.
And just the question with regards to like society is like taking time to receive this. Why do you think this is the case? Is it because most people would say, nah, you know, most of society is just narrow-minded, and that's why they don't want to like adapt to this new ideas or whatever is presented to them in our modern era. Why do you think society is taking time, as you said, to like adjusting to these kind of ideas?
Should I go first? I think it's basically out of our normality, you know. I mean, if a man had to tell me today, a straight man at that, to tell me like I need flowers as well, I'd be like, sorry, what? You know, and initially and ideally, it's really not that deep, you know. But I think it's just a matter of like, back then men used to not receive flowers.
Fair enough, yeah.
You know, like if a man now says, I also want to be bought this and that, and I'm like, aren't you supposed to be the provider? Also, you have to also take into account that also spirituality and religion comes into play.
Very sure we're going to come to that topic as well.
Yeah, I think it's very much like a man must lead, a man is a provider. And now, obviously people just tend into that with that mindset to say, a man is a provider. If anything else, it's just like, are you really a man?
Oh,
You know?
that's very true.
No, I was just gonna add about or say that it is intersectional. So religion, culture, and everything else plays a really big role.
That's alright, you can go ahead.
Plays a really big role in how we see or how we receive information and how we process it. So but we'll touch on that later, as you said.
From my side, sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. From my side, I'd say masculinity is also, you know, like as they said, you know, bounded by leadership, you know, being a provider, you know, being a good listener at times. It also comes to that at times because as a leader and a problem solver that a man is supposed to be, you can't be both of those things without being able to listen to people's problems, thus knowing how to provide and lead. Understand? So like it comes to those things, but like as times are changing, it also is changing up to a certain extent whereby like now young men like me don't really know what is and what is not masculine because of like these times changing. As times are changing, it's like now men are supposed to do this, men are supposed to do this, whereby sometimes when you seek out of that traditional way of doing things as a masculine man, it's like now you're being toxic. So it's really hard to truly define it in the traditional manner. Because when you try to do so, it's like you're a toxic man or you're toxic. That's toxic masculinity. So that's my 2 cents of it.
Pretty interesting. And before anyone else speaks, Asa mentioned like obviously a lot of roles that a man should fulfill or is expected to fulfill, which were normal, let's say 50 years ago. And right now, if Asa said a man is a leader, he would be severely challenged, you know, by a lot of groups. And obviously that's just based on their perception on what roles a man should play, right? It's not necessarily, what he says is not necessarily law. You know, it's obviously his opinion. But I just want to find out from the panel, what do you guys think about his definition of like a man, you know, with all the responsibilities, the leadership role, and the kind of image of authority that he has to take up in the home and actually show that he's the man through providing as well?
I think the definition of provide is very broad.
Yeah.
Because what are you providing? Is it financial? Is it me putting your
As
head
a
above
man,
your roof?
what are you bringing?
Is it, yeah.
Yes, of course.
Because now,
Yeah.
also when you compare it to the past, you'd say, okay, you provide to your family, because we can't say it back in the day. Let's even take it back now.
Like back when they hunted. and
Yeah, because now it loses.
But sorry, but even so, when you're looking at the provider aspect of being a man,
Yeah.
you're not solely looking at the financial and materialistic side that you can provide as a man.
Yeah.
It also comes with safe and security
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
bring to the house.
Yeah.
I understand. And if you're looking at feminine side, you would
Yeah.
also say it comes with, that warmth and love
Yeah.
that a
Yeah.
mother should bring to, a
Yeah.
mother
Yeah.
can bring
Yeah.
to a home.
But also, what do you say to people who say, well, there's the radical side of feminism, or even maybe not even the radical side, but some people who would say that, well, I don't need like a man to necessarily like, protect me. Since you're speaking about protection, like provision, and stuff like that, like providing safety, right?
Yeah.
Well, what do you say about that? Like,
I mean, it also, goes back to what I said as to times are changing. So it's really hard to truly define
yeah,
or, say or state the roles of a man in a household in such a manner. Because now
100%, yeah.
it's like if you, as like the scenario that you just provided. Now, if a woman says, I don't really need a man who's going to do that, then what is my role in a household?
And do you feel that infringes on your perhaps identity as
Of
a
course,
man?
of course. In like, even if you're looking at it as they say spiritually, from a spiritual aspect, like from Christianity,
Yeah.
it goes back to that. Even I, as a Xhosa man, we are raised to understand that such things, being a provider, being
Yeah.
a secure of the house,
Yeah.
like when such things are challenged,
Yeah.
it takes you aback to say, now what must I be? Or what am I?
So
in terms
it
of-
does actually strips you off of your identity.
Exactly, as a man, and what like the identity of
And
masculinity.
before I can see she has some sort of chest pains.
I have an opinion.
She has an opinion, but just a moment. Damn it, I lost my trail of thought. But with regards to your previous point, right, like on like how it actually like strips you off of your identity. Going on to, and this is another topic, we'll explore this broadly as we progress with the podcast. But I just want to find out, do you think that has like implications for your psychological well-being as a man? Since, I mean, anybody who is stripped off of their identity, as you're suggesting, would have like feel some type of way about it, So how, like, I want to touch on the psychological aspect of it, because I feel like that's another aspect of manhood that's not really spoken about quite a lot.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, now also like to Aaron, are you a failure as a man if you can provide?
That's another question.
So
And
are you not a man if you
it's
can
a
provide?
Great
Yeah.
question.
Can I say something?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's stupid
Yeah.
to base your personhood in something as arbitrary as masculinity and femininity.
Okay.
Or to say that masculinity or femininity should be things you do for other people. Because then you have this identity crisis of, if I can't, I'm not.
Yeah.
So you can't say masculinity is the things I do for people. It's how I provide and how I protect. Because are you not a man if you don't provide and you don't protect?
And also,
That's a
just
very
to
good question,
quickly
actually.
add on to that, I think it's just a matter of men don't know how to allow women to lead, And I feel like that is just going to take a lot of men aback because a man is known to be a provider. But as a queer man, as I stand here, if I'm in a group with girls or black women, it's a matter of I can allow you to do certain things because you're my friend, or maybe in any other relation that I might have to you. And it doesn't bother me that much because I'm like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
If it gets the job done, it does. But with a man, it's more like but I want to do it. I want to show my strength. And it goes back to what she said. What strength are you showing if you're gonna now base off your masculinity based on what you do for others, not for yourself?
Okay.
If I may,
Okay, sure.
it goes back to what you said actually.
Mm-hmm.
Because you said if a man now wants flowers or wants to be bought flowers, you say, are you really a man? So,
It's why I don't really identify with the gender binary most of the time. Because when people describe femininity, it's things you do for other people. It's service,
So it's mainly
servitude.
based on roles.
Yes, masculinity is based on what you do for other people.
Yeah.
Why must my personhood be defined by what I do, not who I am? Even when you look at it from a historical context,
I feel
because
like
we talk about provision, right?
Yeah.
There was a time in this country where women were providing and men weren't.
When the men were in exile.
Yes. Do we forget those time periods?
No.
Were they not men because they were innocent?
One would argue that those guys were still doing masculine things, AK-47.
But they weren't in the home to do those things, to provide and
But
protect
that's the
their
thing.
people.
That's the thing. You don't have to be, particularly in the household to say I identify as a man. Because when you're looking at that aspect itself, it's like men had this rule of being out there and then carrying those AK-47 and then fighting.
Yeah.
And then if you yourself identifying as a male who identifies as a man back then, and then who say, no, I'm not going out there and then I'm not fighting, it goes back to what?
Yeah, you're not a man, you're not man enough.
You're not man enough.
And
then
sticking
so
on
like-
that topic, I think it's one of the questions that I wanted to ask Sia actually. We know that when we're talking about women, there's this whole narrative of, and not that I'm discrediting it or disrespecting it in any way, shape or form, but of the patriarchy that's oppressed women for thousands of years or hundreds of years, right?
Yeah.
And it's often associated with white straight men as well. I don't know where black men fall under that. I haven't really done my research on that. But then, wouldn't you guys say that, in a sense, men also suffer some sort of oppression? Because there's also that social stigma that they face. As it's saying, if you don't pick up the weapon, then you are kind of like ridiculed, even by women, not just men.
Yeah.
So, one would say that men shouldn't be the only people who wear like the face of the oppressor, but women also contribute to the system whereby we continuously shame people based on gender roles, and we have men who are constantly shamed because they work certain jobs. Male nurses, I was having a conversation the other day with someone, stay-at-home dads. These people, I would say, in a way, are ridiculed by society and therefore face oppression, just as someone who says that the patriarchy is oppressing them faces oppression. So what would you guys say about that? Is it equal, or is what I'm saying just far-fetched?
I really do agree with you to saying that women play a part in making men feel a little bit some type of way that they're not men enough. However, I do believe that it's okay to be a stay-home dad,
Yeah.
It's just that you can't build Rome in a day. It
100%.
takes a lot of effort in
So,
cultivating.
are men going through a stage of oppression since we're building this Rome and actually making people kind of adapt to this? So you do agree that males are also going through this period in like our century whereby they're oppressed?
Valid. However, the problem comes now into them not straight men at that. Comes a lot into not actually talking about it, not being allowed spaces to talk about it. Because now it's more like it goes back to what he was saying, like, I'm a man, I'm a provider, I'm a protector. So I can't be seen as weak. And what we define as weak is seeing a man being emotional.
Yeah, and sorry guys if I'm talking too much, but just one more question. With regards to that, don't you think that's one of the apparatus of the system? Because in a sense, as a man, one would say that if you do crumble and say, well, I don't want to be that, provider, I don't want to play all of those roles, then the very same society will ridicule you. So in a sense, you are forced into a corner to actually fulfill those roles. You're actually forced to actually be that masculine man and be that person who actually provides and actually meets the criteria of the archetype of the typical man. You know, so is that a form of oppression? You know, and you said yes, but then at the same time, like I'm just trying to gauge, like, to what extent are men actually oppressed by the system? Is it at par with like how females were or are constantly being oppressed? What would you say on that?
I think
And it's an open conversation.
Yeah.
Let's engage.
Evidently enough, it's not on par with how
Yeah.
women are oppressed.
Yeah.
And you have to understand also the history of why women are now being more empowered
Yeah.
than men, obviously,
Yeah.
because they were previously disadvantaged.
Yeah.
However, I do believe that
Take your time.
Anyways, I really do believe that men need to establish their personhood, as she said,
Yeah.
in themselves
Yeah.
before it goes back to identity as well. Knowing yourself, knowing what you want, and also not being the person according to
Yeah.
societal standards.
And I guess my question was, is society allowing men to
Yeah.
actually...
Can I answer?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the issue is not the fact that society refuses to allow men
Yeah.
to change, because you're acting as though men are not active participants in society.
Yeah,
Women played a hand in other women's oppression.
that's
Yeah.
very true. Yes.
Men play a hand in other men's
Men's
oppression.
Yeah.
True.
So it's not a situation of just women in society being like, we don't want you to do this.
Yes.
It's because
Mhm.
other men are telling men, you're weak if you don't provide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a male nurse, why are you a male nurse?
Yeah, why
It's
don't you-
because
Yeah.
men drive society so much and you don't understand why or how you do it, because our entire system is patriarchal.
Yeah.
You will always drive society. You will always drive
Okay, can
change.
we just establish, man, since there's the idea of like
Yeah.
intersectionality and all of the racial issues as
Yeah.
well. When we say men drive society, who are we referring to? Are we referring to white men,
Mhm.
black men, Indian men,
Yeah.
Pakistan? Who are we? Who's this man who drives the society? Because when we talk about men, obviously, as some people would say, there is a spectrum,
Yes.
right?
Mm.
So, who's this guy who's driving society?
Okay, it would be all men in different aspects, because not all men can do things the same way,
Okay.
right? So in the black community, black men drive the culture there.
Yeah.
So the reason why women are leaders is because black men have failed to do their job.
Or they fail.
They'll step
Okay.
up. In white communities,
Oh.
white men are able to drive that culture in the way they have.
Drink some water.
I haven't said you guys have a deal.
It's alright. It's
Your
alright.
fathers have.
In terms of our fathers,
I'm not done with my point, but please finish.
Okay, let allow the lady finish.
So, all men drive culture in some way, one way or another. If you
Yeah.
want to see change, Nelson Mandela said you gotta start with yourself.
Yeah.
But in society, it's not just about you. It's about moving from a place of love, you know?
Yeah.
As my friend Mops loves to say, you have to move from a place of love for yourself and other people. Exactly. So when we talk about societal expectations and societal realities, you have to understand that the expectation is that men lead all the time. The reality is that they don't lead all the time.
Yeah.
Because other men are driving the force at certain times to culture and
But
participation.
who's at the top of this pyramid? Like who's?
It's not a
Who's him?
pyramid. That's
I
what
want
I'm
to
trying to
understand who's
say.
him.
It's not a pyramid because everyone keeps thinking of it like it's a pyramid.
So the black man.
And so, no, if you keep thinking of it like it's a pyramid, there's
Yeah.
one perpetrator, there's
so
one
so
person.
you're saying
And it's
in
all
black
of us.
communities, black men are at the top of the pyramid.
They've always been. And it's
In
not a
white
pyramid.
communities,
It's
in-
not a pyramid.
So like in this, diversified
Yeah.
or community that we now live in.
Yeah.
So who's at the top pyramid? I
Yeah.
think that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
Because it's like now we all living together.
Yeah.
So who's the man who's
we
really
want to know
pushing
him.
the masculine picture of this is masculinity,
Yeah.
this is not masculinity?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. You
That
guys
there's
keep
no- it's just
seeing
men, yeah.
a pyramid. It's not a pyramid.
Yeah.
It is, society is a circle.
Yeah.
And we all influence each other in one way or another.
Oh, it's-
Right?
it's-
Certain
yeah.
men will lead the wheel of change, right?
And what I'm trying to find
Yeah.
out is who is the certain man?
people who identify as men have more power than people who don't identify
I think
as
Fawaz has been
It's
too
not.
quiet.
I don't think that it's all men.
Yeah.
I think that there are some problematic people who try to enforce this idea of masculinity onto society, and sometimes men are persuasive and they try to belittle other men into kind of feeling that need to be masculine. And so I think that you, like you mentioned, you have to start with yourself and not think about it. Because, guys, it's not a pyramid. It's not a pyramid. And I think
So
that
you also agree with the second?
I think that it is a circle. And
But guys, what about white men who own the resources?
Exactly.
You know, who tell black men, hey, come and dig diamonds in my mine.
And then they say they won't employ women to dig diamonds in their mines. So what about that?
Who's this? We want the culprit.
Okay.
I guess that's what I'm trying to find out. And if we're saying it's a circle, that means we're also equal to the culprit as well. This white guy or whoever. I'm not saying all white people are oppressors.
But like before you move to that, or before you state your point, I just heard you saying that men, take these decisions and then lead and whatsoever, and then they leave women behind, and then don't take, their points, whatever. What I'm trying to say is that is not entirely true, though, if you look at it. Because even if you look back from the Cleopatra / Caesar, exactly, it's like women always have a power, just that men sometimes are the face out there, actually, out there to say these things. And then, even if you were to have conversations with older women or grannies, they would tell you that, you need to do this for a man in order for him to be able to listen to you. So who really has the power? Is it women behind closed doors, whereas men are actually puppets and then doing whatever the woman
and it's
wants?
a conversation that we have.
So how can you say men always have the power, whereby history proves that there are women who actually are leading, but they are leading behind.
Your Gracias or Winnie Mandela.
Exactly.
No, don't even go as far as Cleopatra.
Exactly.
We have them.
Also, we have them here, right?
Yeah, we have them here.
I think also to add on it, I think it needs to be a conversation about what I do best in my own
capacity.
Instead of saying I'm a man, you know what I'm saying? Instead of saying I'm a woman, instead of saying I'm this, I'm that, we need to now start acknowledging, okay, as someone who was born in May, these are my qualities. This is what I do. I'm protective. And then as a woman, I nurture. That's what I do best. You know what I'm saying? Instead of now trying to because now it's basically becoming men versus women. Instead of being men is equals to women, women is equals to men. We need a society where, or we need to build a society where now women can voice their voices, but also need to remember that what they have, it's not what we have, and also what we have, it's not what they have.
To answer you first, in your scenario, women have to go to man for men to decide, right? Okay, so let's start. If you have Gracia Machel, Nelson Mandela is the person that everyone listens to. He is her mouthpiece. She can't get there and speak in her own capacity and people respect her because of society.
Wouldn't you say it's also a two-way street, whereby she is also his mouthpiece?
No.
And
No. No one is going to respect Gracia Michelle without mentioning the fact that her first husband was the president of Mozambique.
I mean, that's fine. That's just semantics.
Yeah.
One would say that's just
Right.
like chats and
It's-
stuff.
Everyone says it's chats and whatever,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like a lot of women have voiced the opinion
Yeah.
of, I am not respected in rooms where men are listening to me.
No, I feel that.
And that is the problem. When we talk about, the reason why we say it's not a pyramid is because of situations like that,
Yeah.
where the man is the mouthpiece and the woman is the mastermind.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, like, we all have to put input into changing society.
Very true.
Because sometimes women are the problem. Sometimes women are the negative aspects of society that men are. So the reason why I say men drive the change is because even with those types of women, there are men in their lives who can lead in different ways. Like a man's voice will always overpower a woman's because people associate the face of a man with respect.
Okay, very true. Guys, moving forward, I just want you guys to like state whatever it is that you want to state quite briefly because I want to move on to the next point. So, should there be anyone here who wants to like make any remarks on the topic that we just had?
Okay.
Just go ahead.
I'm gonna say about the feminist movement. How it started. I'm also not disagreeing with the fact that women have been previously oppressed. Women played a huge role in many wars that happened in history. And then they were regarded as auxiliary members of the war. I mean, it takes courage, bruh, for men to go to war and then women keep the farms running. Women, that's like an input in the war. You know what I'm saying? That's something in the war.
I'm not saying it's not something. But like, in a society whereby you have men and women,
Yeah.
who would you rather, send to war? Because even if you send a man to war,
Interesting.
and then one man comes back, society still runs, and then like the humans themselves,
And that
won't
goes
be
on to the
extinct.
importance of the roles. right?
Exactly, won't be extinct.
Yeah.
But if like now you send women, and then let's say one woman comes back, you find out like in 100 years, there won't be any humans.
Yeah.
Now, this
So why
proves
don't we
cookies.
respect women?
No, but also, right? Okay.
Oh.
The feminist movement.
That's just my question.
The feminist movement, I think it has lost its pillars, man. Like today it's who can shake bums more than me. Like who can
I
You
think
get what
that's
I'm
a
saying?
Guys,
feminist
is that true? Like,
Because
no like
no, it's a feminist who's looking
Or
at
is
it.
that
Because
you?
feminists
That's
are
what's
fighting
happening.
for Afghani women to be able to speak in public.
no, I'm not.
That's
I'm
what
not,
feminists
no,
are
I'm
fighting
not. I'm
for.
not also
Fighting against
No,
GBV.
yeah.
Yes, they can't drive. But we're like, those are basic human rights that people should
No.
be afforded.
No, listen. I'm not also like disregarding
Yeah.
those positive feminists who are
Mhm.
out there. But let's be honest, man. Like
You're reducing feminists to
No.
women who shake ass.
then who are
No,
those women?
no,
Who do they
but-
represent? Because are you guys
Exactly.
disowning them?
yeah,
Because
like,
they are
like,
saying that
so,
they're-
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you just own men who abuse women?
Wholeheartedly.
Yeah, no, we
I
call them out.
disown
Yeah.
them.
They're not men.
I,
Okay. So
they
here's
do
what
not
I'll
belong.
say
Oh.
about those feminists.
I disown
Right?
them, yes.
Do you?
Yes.
Actually.
If you're a man and you abuse women, then you deserve to be called out,
Mhm.
and you deserve to be shamed,
Mhm.
and you deserve to be ostracized up until you change your behavior, or even imprisoned. because of your
Okay,
behavior.
Do
lovely.
you, if that was your friend, do you still hold that
Oh, the same
opinion?
sentiments.
Yeah, the same sentiment.
I probably wouldn't be friends with the person because I know my values. Since this is a question directly at me, I know who my friends are. I have a system of values in the sense that each and every man you see around me is a man who shares similar values. What you won't see me doing is probably what you won't see my brother doing. And if you see him doing that, and I know about it, that man is probably not my brother.
Can I just ask, is it just only, so basically if this happens as a friend, right?
Yes.
Let's say we and then are you also gonna just avoid the situation and just disassociate yourself with
That's
him?
bystander.
Or
Yeah,
just
mm,
call him out and also let him face the consequences of it
mm.
and just be an accountable citizen as you claim.
Exactly.
you are.
That's being a bystander. And one of the most terrible things about being a bystander is that you allow injustice to actually happen when you're around. There's a quotation that goes that I'm going to paraphrase it, but it's something along the lines that people get oppressed, or bad men have their way when good men keep quiet and do nothing about it. So if you're a man with values, if you're a good man, not the toxic man that they describe, if you're a good man who embodies positive masculinity, if that's even a thing, you would then call out anything. A good man is the type of man who is willing to lay his life on the street for a stranger, a woman who he doesn't know, simply because that woman was getting attacked by some savage. You know, those are good men who are actually contributing positively to society. And obviously what's sad, since we had this conversation, is the fact that at times most of these men are ostracized. You know, most of these men are not recognized. You know, these are the nice guys who die on the roadside. And at the end of the day, nobody recognizes them, which then will also bring me to my next point on emotional expression and mental health. In a sense, if you think about it, with regards to mental health, most men will shift their perspectives on females or femininity to what society has conditioned them. And when we say what society has conditioned them, it's not what society has actively taught them, like through verbally, but also through action. How do we treat nice guys? You know, are you gonna call him a fool? You know, the same guy who walks you home to Lobelia or wherever at 12 a.m. is you know, you treat him as that side guy who, you know, you can call at any time. How do you then expect that man, like how do you condition him? How do you expect that man, if you disrespect him for what he's doing, how do you expect him to actually proceed? Are we actually rewarding positive behavior by man as a society?
My question to you is just one, right?
Yes.
Why do we have to acknowledge you being a good person?
Yeah. We don't acknowledge women being good people.
I think every society is based on meritocracy.
Yeah.
And the only way that we can actually progress as a civilization is through awarding good behavior. Not through materialism, but obviously also through recognition. Just to say, okay, that's a good man. You know, that's a good woman. You know? So at the end of the day, the only way we can progress as a civilization is actually awarding good behavior. And I reiterate my point, not through obviously materials, but also through acknowledging people. You know, most men are not acknowledged. And let's stick to the topic on emotional expression and mental health. Most men are not acknowledged, and that leads to poor and deteriorating mental health. In a sense, that's why even if we check out the suicide rates, guys, come on, that's just statistics. Stats never lie, so they say. Men.
Stats have context.
Stats have context. That's very true. But at the end of the day, if we look at people who kill themselves, it's
men do it more.
Yeah, men do it more.
But women attempt more. We're just not as successful.
Why?
Because when women commit suicide, they do it with pills, and it's often very ineffective. Don't do it.
So how do men do it?
Shooting themselves, jumping from buildings,
I think that also goes
hanging
to-
themselves.
I
It's
think
effective.
I think that also goes to, you know, fear and everything. I feel like if whatever you were living for is no longer making sense in terms of it has turned against you.
Yeah.
Now, like, what's the point of you even living
Yeah.
if that's the case?
Yeah.
And to that, I'd like to say it comes back to the conversation of manhood being tied to what you do for others. Because then it's like, if you can't, who am I? And it leads to an entire internal crisis where
Come on, love.
it leads to like an entire internal crisis of, if I can't, who am I? And then you start getting depressed and, you know, suicidal. We have to reshape the conversation around personhood when it comes to men, so that you become more of a person for you than for other people, so you don't get to that.
You know, it's very interesting that you say that. Actually, it's very interesting that you say that, because if you find men in a relationship, men who are married, and then you find men who are married and are not able to provide and do all those things in a household, and then you find men who are able to do all of those things. And then when you look at who is more happy or who is more welcomed in the household, you find out it's the one that can actually do all the things that she's saying. You mustn't be judged as a person against. Whereby the one that is not able to do all of those things, he's treated like a dog or whatsoever.
And sticking on to the issue of mental health.
Exactly. So, like, it's very interesting to say that men mustn't be judged based on what a man can or cannot do. Whereby at the same time, it's like when a man is not able to do anything, a man is judged based on what he cannot do.
And
I think Sia has an opinion.
And thank you. I also think that ties back to the saying of where everyone has some sort of contribution to men feeling like that.
Yeah.
You know, or women feeling like that.
Yeah.
Because I think with what you're saying, if you can't provide, if I create a safe space for you not to feel some type of way, not to underestimate you or undermine you, then it's an okay space for you to thrive in. But as soon as I make it about me, what you provide for me, now you lose yourself and your identity into titling it to be like, what can I do for them? Not being like, okay, I can get myself this. If I want a G63, I can get it myself. But if now you tie it back to what you do for people, it's like, okay, now I got you a couch. What do you need?
Yeah.
So that I can show you I'm a man.
So it becomes
transactional. Yes, it becomes transactional, and that's also how GBV turns in and everything else rolls
because
in.
now you think
Because now you have expectations when you do that as well.
Yeah.
And if someone fails to deliver those expectations, now it becomes a but you owe me type of situation.
Yeah. To add on what he's saying also, don't you think now that type of behavior breeds ownership? To like, now I own you because I'm providing this, I'm doing this. Don't you think now men tend to like, because I bought you a car, I gave you a house, I gave you a bed, now I own you?
Well, not really. To be honest, I feel like it's. I feel like you have to separate the two, because like there are good men who do good things because they are good men. Then there are men who who present themselves as if they are good men, whereby they have like hidden agendas. So it's unfortunate that like the ones that actually do good things because they are good, they're not talked about more, like what Mullo just said. And then the ones that are actually doing things, goodness, or because of they have hidden agendas, are the ones that we call out more. And as we should, I'm not saying we shouldn't, but I'm just saying we should also appreciate more the ones that are doing good things because of they're just doing good things.
And one of the most important points about this debate, or not even debate, but discussion rather, obviously is that where do like non-heterosexual people lie in all of this? You know, obviously because they are mostly marginalized, and in most instances they would say that, well, you know, society doesn't acknowledge my identity. We know that they're going through a movement, or some would call it a struggle for them being noticed, you know, within society, and their identity being respected and recognized. So in all of this, in this whole conversation, well, drawing from the first point up till now, with regards to obviously traditional masculinity and mental health and all of this, where do we put them?
I think automatically in a straight and a heterosexual man's head, when I say I'm gay, I'm already classified as a woman. I'm
As soon as you say to me, gay, or you know, I was like, okay.
Yes.
Exactly.
So if I say I'm a lesbian?
Lesbian, men. Literally, you understand? Men. Bisexual, that's where like.
No, when you're bisexual, you're confused.
Exactly. Okay, I want to say exactly to that.
Wait, how do you agree with that? Wait. Do you agree with what Sia said?
I do agree with that.
So bisexual people are confused people.
No, I
No,
don't.
you're
They're perceived that way by heterosexual people.
What? Perception?
Perception.
That you
Yo, my bad.
that you wanna eat on both sides of the
break. Yeah. Oh, you want to?
No, but
Okay.
that's why it's
But it's very important that we touch on
That's
this.
what-
because-
I think a proper question you can ask as a host is, what challenges do non-heterosexual people face in terms of like social expectations when it comes to like masculinity or whatever?
Yeah,
So
but
what
that goes
challenges do you
back
guys
to-
face? Instead of asking like, what challenges do you face in terms of expectations?
But I mean, that goes back to mental health because everything that happens socially then draws back and narrows down to the individual. And
I don't think it has to do with
in
like
mental health.
It's more of like social expectations, like what people expect. And
Oh, yeah.
what goes around in the community, obviously us as like heterosexual people,
And I was
we
also
don't know
Yeah,
really,
sorry.
like, we don't really understand them. We
Yeah.
don't understand like their values, like how they, what they require.
Mm.
So like if
But-
they can like elaborate.
Yeah, that is a point within
Yeah.
my agenda. So
So,
I will.
so you're moving fast.
Yeah, he's moving fast. He's way ahead. He's a time traveler. Yeah, he's a time traveler.
I think that what I'm saying now was like actually relevant to the question you asked him.
Yeah.
Yeah, how he answered it like what.
But are you satisfied with the question on like mental health that I asked them and with regards to where they stand on their perspectives on masculinity as non-heterosexual men? Or
Can I just go back to what I was about to say?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I think, back to what I said,
Yes.
if you are identifying as a homosexual,
Yeah.
or as I'd like to speak on gay people, myself as a gay person, individual,
Yeah.
when you already say you're gay, you're already classified and you're stripped of your rights as a man. You basically, also in families, if there's a gathering, especially in black communities, if
Yeah.
there's like, because men will agree, because people will agree actually that
Awesome.
that when you go to the line, you go back home. Obviously, men sit in a crowd.
Your identity
I-
is disrespected.
I
Yes.
did my research. So
Yeah.
like in the let's say with gay people.
Yes.
Don't you have straight acting gay people and then don't you have like feminine gay people? So,
Real.
like, how does that work?
Real. So I'll touch on that.
Yeah.
No, but
That goes back to
but also.
I feel like he should touch on that because like I wanna
Exactly.
as
Okay,
you say
I'm gonna-
back to close.
back-
Sorry.
Okay,
He was going
I'm
there,
not.
actually.
I'm not.
Yeah.
He was going to
That's what I want because I wanna hear what you're about to say
No.
and then I'm going to
You-
break it down
Okay,
from
can I-
a closer perspective.
Okay,
No, okay, I'm a straight man,
Yeah.
but also I'm gonna try to advocate.
Are you
I'm
sure?
gonna try to advocate. I'm gonna try to advocate.
Advocating. Hey.
Okay, do you think you being gay strips you or takes away the title of being a man?
Why are you looking at me?
No, like how? Cause now
Wait. Why are you looking
being
at
gay,
me?
being gay
Okay.
is being gay, or let me not say being gay. Let me say my sexual orientation doesn't equate to my
Masculinity.
you get what I'm saying? If I prefer to have
Now let me
Okay,
try. Let
correct
me
me if
try.
I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Can I
But
just proceed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was interested.
Yeah, can you
Let me
please
try.
hear and then
Yeah, guys, I really want to answer that. Dog.
So-
Let me try to answer that question.
Okay.
Please,
Okay,
You see why?
let him finish. Let him
Men
finish.
don't respect us.
Okay,
Men don't respect us. All of a sudden.
Let him finish.
This
Okay,
guy.
let him finish.
All of a sudden.
Okay, then I'm gonna answer everything. Then I'm gonna answer
Okay,
everything. Fine.
wait, okay.
Fine.
Hold your
Fine.
thing,
Hold
hold your
on.
thought. Hold your thought, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, hold your thought. We'll
Yeah.
go on a commercial break.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll talk about it. Can you please proceed?
Yeah.
So it goes back to cultural. If I go back home, right,
Yeah.
as a closer person, I'm not closer, but I've seen my friends and I've heard experiences. Obviously, there's a crowd where men gather,
Yeah.
regardless of you when, like, obviously it's solely dependent of if you went to the man to the mom,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm a gay person and I go into that crowd, I don't feel comfortable enough
Okay.
because obviously of my sexual orientation. And people just associate my sexual orientation with my gender altogether.
Yeah.
They seem to forget that sexual orientation is just who I'm attracted to,
Yeah.
who I sleep with. It's got nothing to do
With your
with
gender.
me as a person, as an individual. I am a man. I am a gay man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
But can I please add on to
Yes.
that? So like whenever like okay, I've had encounters with like gay men.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like
Oh.
whenever like
Really?
I've had encounters with gay men whereby like obviously
What they count
Where? In your room?
Let's say we need to it's time to pack up lift tables and all that.
Yeah.
The gay men look at the other straight men and then they tell them that, oh, do it, you're a man.
Exactly.
So gay men don't have
I will agree to that.
Yeah.
Mainly because that's how society has labeled us.
So
If I had to pick out tables, they'd be like, "Hi, when you're not gay."
But to be fair, to be
There's a
fair,
criteria of how gay.
exactly. To be fair,
Yeah.
that's the same fate that men are suffering. So I don't blame you guys for actually.
Yeah.
To be fair,
societal.
it all goes back to society, and it's what he was talking about with
Yeah.
the crowd and everything, right?
I was like, if
Let
I'm
me try to answer that.
Yeah.
Your question.
Yeah.
'Cause what was your question? Let's.
I was saying, does my sexual orientation take away the title of me being a man?
Well, as he said, you are not a man if you didn't go to the mountain. As a closer man, I you know that man.
But
Yeah.
what happens now that I've been to the mountain, but I still come back as
Yes, gay, yeah.
Exactly.
Because
Now-
people think
now-
being gay.
Yeah.
Because there was also the show
Yeah.
where they showed us. I think it was cancelled at one point.
Yeah,
whereby,
Thousand Bull were touched.
whereby they
Really,
actually
they were
showed
touched.
us
They were touched, bro. They were touched.
because there were gays on the mountain.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They were. And they were
But-
revealing secrets.
But
Yeah,
but at the same time, we don't know if it's secrets or not. Exactly. Yeah.
Chill.
Yeah.
There are no secrets down.
I lie you just
Yeah.
Okay, look. What I'm trying to say is this. As Charles said, there are two kinds of gay people, especially
Yeah.
gay men.
Yeah.
The ones that are gay and then feminine, and then the
Yeah.
ones that are gay, but they're just
Yeah.
represent themselves in a masculine
yeah.
way. So, also, in the trial, you don't want to force, because now it comes to this thing of not wanting to force someone to do things that they don't want to do,
Yeah.
even though they identify as men.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So, the ones that are actually gay to the feminine side, you don't want to force them to do anything, because it's now they retaliate in a feminine way, if I might.
That's the feminine way.
You know, just being all on your face. Easy. But you understand, in a manner of now they ask questions as to why must I be the one doing it? Why this?
Yeah.
And then they also go to question the structure that has been set about manhood, And then now it goes to, I'm not gonna know all those answers, but what I now know is this: we should do this.
Yeah.
Whereby the ones that are gay, but they are manly gay.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you're right, but okay.
Okay, you can,
I'm
Yeah.
trying not to get cancelled.
yeah.
You understand? It's more like they also have an understanding of how things go, and then we don't segregate them
Yeah.
to an extent of saying, no, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
So it's more of a manner of the ones that are femininely gay, we try to separate ourselves from them because of, now it
Yeah.
comes to
Right.
now them saying certain things or asking certain questions that
Yeah.
you don't have answers to, and then now you don't want to reply in a manner that's going to make them uncomfortable.
But can I just, sorry,
You can go.
can I just go give you a scenario? No, please. We're in a crowd now, and I want to hear your personal experience. And honestly, I come in there, I went to the mountain, and I come back, probably years later, there's a family gathering or whatever. I come in there with my 32-inch bust down, face beat on, with my nails, and I want to go into the crowd. What's your first say? What's your first Yeah. Sure. Hey!
I need a piss.
Hey! Hey!